It's a little bit of a different thing here. With this rainy spring day, I thought it'd be kind of cool to change things up. I was thinking it might be, useful for people, for me to kind of share, my experiences with the instrument, my experiences with, kind of what I'm looking after as far as tone is concerned. Today is the beloved holiday of Teletuesday, and I've got a Tele here. This is my pink paisley. It's kind of the one that kind of started me off. I did have one before this, a Japanese, a black Japanese Tele custom. It was double bound, and it had this crazy, almost like a gray silver pearloid double bound. I think the guard might have been too. It was pretty bright, but it was a cool guitar. This is the one that kind of set me off, and it was one that I definitely wouldn't have picked this this crazy finish. But you know what? It's actually grown on me pretty well. The original old ones tend to yellow. All this really wild silvery stuff underneath tends to yellow on the older ones. It must have been the type of paper or whatever they're using under the finish. This is a pretty faithful recreation of that guitar. I have had to modify a bunch of it to make it more useful. I don't know what they were doing with the pickups, but this one specifically, I did I'm a big Callahan fan, and this is one of the Callahan bridges. These are cool because they dress away the treble side. You can kind of see there on the ridge here. These normally have, the original style has the ashtray cover that goes over, so that you weren't doing any kind of palm muting. The other great thing about these Callahans is that he does a compensated brass saddles, which makes a huge difference for intonation. Also, the front corners here on the bridge, you can kind of see here, you can kind of seat them into the body. It just gives a better, a more positive connection. I also did one of the electro socket jacks, which for some reason this one keeps coming undone. And this guitar, I did some touring with this guitar, so it's been through a lot of action, and that's one of the things that always bugs me, and it's actually loosening up again right now, and I'm thinking of kind of dealing with that. The cool thing about those jacks is that they have a two side screws that go right into the body. These, the center where the jack actually is will start to come unscrewed. I'm sure I could probably get a washer on there. Maybe that would help a little bit. The problem is, I believe this guitar is made out of basswood, so you get the problem with, once it starts, the thread screws start threading out the wood, you tend to, the wood turns into sawdust. But yeah, the pots are original. I believe the switch is still original. This has a treble bleed mod. So when you're running a volume, like a volume swell here, like it retains the highs the whole way through, and that's a cool effect. If you want to have more of a fidelity, if you're doing, because that's one thing I did a lot with this instrument. It was a lot of volume swells with delay, like a delay with some modulation in it, and it kind of gave, cool, almost synth patch sounds. I also find it's a little weird because it gets thin when you turn it down, and I've gotten used to guitars that don't have a treble bleed mod, and it gives you more of a, you get more of that almost like a tone, like. You get a little bit of the tone, working the tone pot. So that's, one of the modifications on it. The other, probably the most important thing is that the pickups were upgraded. Lindy Fralin pickups did a no-caster set for me. You can kind of see, you can't really see, but really happening bridge pickup. The neck pickup is almost, almost a little stratty. Here's the neck. bridge. Very Teletuesday. So yeah, that's the Pink Paisley story. This guitar's been all around the country, and it's on a second set of frets, and they're starting to finally get comfortable. It's a great fret job, but it's so weird when you do new frets on an instrument. It brings it back to a different place. One other thing I did, and I don't think you can see under the light, it's a pretty highly glossed finish on this guitar. You can see it on the headstock, maybe in the light a little bit. I took a lot of the finish off on the back of the neck and off the fretboard. A lot of these Fender, especially these like reissue style guitars, they tend to really over gloss the finishes, and I utterly hate a glossed fretboard when it's maple. It just makes my fingers stick, and I don't dig the board hard at all, but it's enough that it makes me feel hindered, so I don't play as unhindered. But yeah, that's the Pink Paisley. I believe they call it a 69 reissue, crafted in Japan, not the made in Japan version. But yeah, it kind of started my love affair with these guitars, having the the volume and the tone pot right in the like the opportune place, right where your hand kind of is hanging out on the bridge, and you have a volume control. And sometimes they'll actually flip the entire guard over, and then have the volume be right underneath, which I haven't tried that yet, and and I'm actually thinking about doing that. That's actually something I wanted to talk about real briefly. Is I'm actually starting another Telecaster, like a parts caster sort of instrument that I'm trying to kind of get everything dialed in on it, so it's very well performing. And that's one of the things that people will do. They'll flip the entire guard over if you have the clearance inside for your depth, and then your volume will be right underneath, and your switch will be in the back, and then your tone will be a little further forward. So you can do the tone sweeps, which is almost like that Roy Buchanan the wah-wah effect with your tone control, and then do the volume swells and have them right where you need them. That kind of gives you that little dressed away spot's nice. I have another instrument that has a completely flat bridge plate here without any of the rim, and that's actually really, really cool. It doesn't feel like a Tele to me, but it definitely frees you up to really just rest on the saddles, and then do your normal right hand muting. But yeah, like I was saying, I am in the process of doing a parts caster build, and I've been a big fan of Guitar Mill and Mario Martin stuff out of the Nashville area in Tennessee, and I've done some Strats. I've done I think I've done 2 Strats, and I have a Mario Martin Strat as well, which is a very dialed in version, which is excellent. But yeah, I ended up buying an Ash Telecaster that is a Mario Martin Guitar Mill body, and it has an all parts neck that I'll show at another time, that has a really great tone. But I found this body here. This is a reverb find. Somebody finished it in kind of a shoreline gold, with an interesting, top binding. But you can kind of see the grain of the wood there. It's like a 2-piece. It's really light. But check out this back, beautiful piece of ash. And it also has the belly cut. You can kind of see, Guitar Mill kind of does these cryptic writings on the inside of the neck pocket. But this is a guitar that I'm just in the process of. I just found a neck that's another Guitar Mill product, and it fits. The neck pockets. It's vital to have that fit in nicely, so it fits perfectly in there. And oddly enough, the impetus for this whole thing was finding a set of these. Speaking of Danny Gatton, these are original Barden, Danny Gatton style Blade Tele pickups. And the wild thing is, these are supposedly some of the brightest. And I like brightness, but I'm not crazy about ice pick in the temples or the eardrums. So it'll be an interesting thing. I mean, we're gonna have to figure out, different pot values and cap values. But again, that's just kind of my Teletuesday rant here. Not really a rant. It's more like a hopeful new birth. See you later, guys.